Hello once again and welcome to Agrestal Vestige, where we are vested in all things Agrestal. My name is Tom and I'm here with a blended Scotch Whisky review for you today. And the Scotch Whisky we're going to be looking at is, if you can see that, Hunting Lodge. Hunting Lodge. Now I was unaware of Hunting Lodge until somewhat recently, 6 or so months ago. I was in a bottle shop and saw it sitting on the shelf. The lonely bottle, just sitting there amongst none others like it. And so I said, well, I'd never tried that before, and so I thought I'd give it a go. And I've been through a good bit of this, tasting it and sampling it and enjoying it and inwardly digesting the constituents of the flavors. And I must say that it's a simple Scotch, but it's quite interesting and pleasurable. Now it is bottled. Let's see. It is bottled at 40% alcohol by volume. Now this is the very little research I was able to do on this. I discovered that this is primarily popular in France for some reason. It is distilled and matured for Hunting Lodge Spirits Limited in Glasgow, Scotland. Matured in oak cask. And I'll read what it says on the back. Scotch Whisky Hunting Lodge, a blend of whiskies selected from different regions of Scotland, is distilled before aged in oak cask for 3 years in the best of the Scottish tradition, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, it's a young Scotch, aged in oak cask. They didn't say if they were sherry cask or bourbon cask or virgin cask, but they were oak. Anyway, so smell. I mean, right off the bat, there is it hits you with a real woody aroma. That's the first thing you get. And it's like an old wood. It's not a fresh cut wood, and you get some of the malt coming in. I don't know what the percentage of this is. 60-40 is common, as you know, but this may be a little bit less malt and more grain. There is a little bit of floral notes coming through there. And it's not like you're out in the garden and smelling the fresh flowers. It's more like going into a florist shop and smelling all the flowers that they have on offer there. That's what I get out of that. Little hints of citrus present. Very little, but it is there. Okay. Roll the glass around. It does form legs, but they drop rather rapidly. Oddly enough, there's no beading, because you get beading a lot when there's a heavy grain presence and young whiskeys. Oddly enough, I don't get much beading there, so maybe I'm wrong about the malt to grain ratio. Anyway, let's give it a taste. You know, the taste, there's a little bit less of the wood. but more of the fruity flavors. And these fruit flavors, they're not a dried fruit. They're not a wintry type fruit. They're more like a fresh fruit. More like a bit of red apple. Red apple, pear, like a cantaloupe too. You get kind of that cantaloupe-y type flavor. The wood is there, but the wood, although being very present on the nose, is very much in the background of the palate. It's fairly brisk, and it arrives with those fruity notes, a bit of citrus, a bit of malt, and it develops very quickly, and it finishes rather abruptly. So you don't have a long experience with this. However, the flavors that are here are quite nice. And even though it's a 3-year-old blend, you don't have a lot of that heat that you typically get with young whiskies, especially young grain whiskies. And so, I mean, it is blended rather well because you don't have a lot of that heat in the back of your throat. It's really quite soft. Yeah, semi-sweet. The finish, semi-sweet. Anyway, I'm going to add, now mind you, this is at 40%, so you don't want to add too much water. But I've got my little glass bottle here. I'm going to add 1, 2, 3 drops of water. And let's just swirl that around and see if it does anything, brings out anything, opens anything up. Actually, it almost makes the strong wood note that was originally on the nose completely disappear. But it brings forward a lot of those melon notes. It's like well, not melon, like cantaloupe. That's what I'm getting here. It's like a strong, like you cut a cantaloupe and you're sitting there and eating it and smelling it. That's what you get on the nose now more, as well as the malt. The malt still present. All right. Taste. Yeah. Yeah, it decreased almost... It decreased a lot of the flavors, but you know what it did? It brought the heat that I was just discussing was not present. It really brought that heat out, and it made you distinctly aware that there's a lot of young whiskey present here. So adding water to this is a negative. It's not a positive. Now some people say, oh, you don't add water to anything, it bottled at 40%, but that's not true. There's many blended Scotch whiskies that's bottled at 40% that we're going to go over in future videos, that it makes a distinctive difference. However, Hunting Lodge is not one of them. Anyway, if I had to rate this blended Scotch whiskey out of 100, I'd probably give it an 81. even though it is nice, neat without water, and it's pleasant, it's very, very simple. There's not a lot going on here. But for a daily dram, for just casually having a scotch, why not? It's quite decent for that. But if you're looking to stimulate your palate and your nose with lots of smells and lots of flavors, this isn't it. But the 3 to 4 flavors it does have, it has quite nice, as long as you don't add the water. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'm Tom, here at Agrestille Vestige. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, bye-bye.